now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, this is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday, working towards the weekend. Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Got Jacob Beck and Casey Gaines back there on the ones and twos, and glad you are with us. Been an odd week for a lot of us with the weather and school shutting down, work from home and all that, but we're getting close to another weekend. We got tons to talk about as we approach the weekend. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, will be with us in 15 minutes talking some LSU football. 2 o'clock. No, not 2 o'clock. 1:30. It was going to be 2 o'clock. We moved it to 1:30. Travis Brown of the Bryan College Station Eagle talking Texas A&M basketball as LSU and the Aggies will do battle for the second time in 3 weeks in the PMAC on tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. We got to get you ready for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. We will certainly do that. I've got more mock drafts on the Saints that are just interesting based on positions of need and where some people think the Saints may go. We'll talk a little bit about that. And Sports Illustrated shutting its doors for good. We'll talk about that coming up at the end of the show. Now, the transfer portal is seemingly always in motion. Certainly this time of year. It is. And while most players cannot enter the transfer portal right now, there are some that are in it. You can enter the transfer portal if there's been a coaching change. So Washington and Alabama, basically the only two schools that are like open for business, and we'll see what happens in Ann Arbor, Michigan, depending on what Jim Harbaugh decides to do next year, whether he wants to coach the defending national champs or he wants to move up to the NFL. Of course, we just care about what LSU is doing, right? I mean, we could make fun of Alabama. A lot of people have been doing that over the last week. But really, it's about LSU. And LSU right now, in terms of the numbers on its roster, they're a little bit over. You're pushing 90 scholarship players, which is okay. You don't have to be compliant with the 85 until you report to fall camp in August. So you can go through the spring with a bloated roster if you want. So it's tough for LSU to be too aggressive in the transfer portal because you're going to have some attrition. But there are a couple of positions where LSU, I believe, would take players if the right player arose. Those are, of course, as you're well aware at this point, cornerback and defensive line, specifically defensive tackle. And there have been some names that have popped up that would make some sense for LSU in the last week, and there have been some developments today with those names. The first is DeAndre Robinson, who signed with Texas and then entered the transfer portal. Bo Davis recruited him there to Texas. He's an interior defensive lineman, a 4-star prospect, and you thought, well, maybe he follows his defensive line coach one state over to LSU. That would be really, really good. That is a spot where LSU needs bodies. Well, today, DeAndre Robinson announced he's committed to Florida. So that ship has sailed. The other name that I think is very interesting and that I do know that LSU has interest in is Jameer Grimsley. Jameer Grimsley, 4-star cornerback, top 150 player in the country, top 15 cornerback in the country, who early enrolled at Alabama before playoff practices. Well, we are well aware that things have changed in Tuscaloosa over the last week and a half. And the players at Alabama are eligible to transfer. Jameer Grimsley said, hey, I'm looking to get out. So he's entered his name into the transfer portal. This would be his one-time transfer, even though he just started school. It appears that Grimsley is between LSU and Florida. We're talking about a tall, 6'3"-ish cornerback that LSU, that they need, in my opinion, a little bit of a talent upgrade there. You've got numbers, but it may not be the numbers you're looking for. And Jameer Grimsley makes a ton of sense. LSU is working that situation, trying to get him on a visit to Baton Rouge to lock him in. it looks like, based on some projections on On3 and 24/7 and all the folks that are in the projections business, that Florida is the leader at this point. But Corey Raymond was there. He's not there anymore. He's at LSU now. Is there a relationship there that might be able to create something late in the process? We'll see. It feels like LSU is going to add a potential starter at defensive tackle or corner either in this period, which is seemingly less and less likely, or maybe in the spring period after spring practice concludes when you've got that other transfer. It's a dicey way to go about business, but it's just, I don't believe that LSU is comfortable with the defensive personnel on the roster right this second. That's my gut instinct based on the performance we saw all year, what we know about where the roster is, and then the turnover in the coaching staff. So, yeah, it would have been awesome for DeAndre Robinson to jump in a defensive tackle. They're still going to work and try to get Jameer Grimsley, but the smoke is that there's some full court pressure being put on in Gainesville, and we'll just have to see. LSU's obviously had a ton of success in terms of numbers with getting folks to come in from the state of Louisiana, whether it was a couple years ago with Mekhi Garner and Jart Bernard Converse, obviously Greg Brooks, obviously Joe Fouché, Major Burns, all those guys, Louisiana guys, left or didn't go to LSU, ended up coming back. Same thing with Zy Alexander, who was a Louisiana guy at Southeastern. Like, that's a lot of your makeup was that, and that doesn't appear to be as plentiful this go-round. Some of those were hits early, some of them were not late. But it feels like they've got to try to find someone somewhere. It's not a situation where you can just open the gates and let everybody in like it was when Brian Kelly got here. You got 38 guys on scholarship? Yeah, we'll take anybody that can put on a shoulder pads. Now you're at capacity, which is good in an era of mass attrition all over the place. And LSU had some attrition this year. You've got your numbers where they need to be. Question is, can you cherry pick a guy here or there that can come in and be an immediate impact guy? That just remains to be seen. But right now, unfortunately, it's the lead of the show, and you're looking for some good news in your transfer portal, and can LSU get this guy on a visit? It doesn't appear that this is gonna hit, but they're still working it. They're still trying, and they're gonna continue that until those windows close. Again, I don't know what happens in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I just know what's going on in Tuscaloosa right now, and they have had in excess of 30 transfers out of that program. It's a seismic shift in the Southeastern Conference from the team that sat atop this thing and basically just kind of did what it wanted with personnel, retained everything, cherry-picked 5-star, all-conference, all-American type guys. Now it's just a land rush out of there. It hasn't benefited LSU yet, but it's still early. We'll see. So that's your look at the transfer portal here on this Friday. Friday show is always brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. CorksFishandShrimp.com is the website. Check it out. You can see the menu. They've got new menu items that you can see on the website. They've got huge stuffed potatoes, delicious pork chop. They've got the crawfish etouffee, stuffed baked potato topped with 8 Gulf shrimp. You can see the picture on the website. It is fantastic, and they are great with catering. Corks needs to be your first call if you're looking to host a birthday party, a game watch party for the playoffs, feeding the office. That's something you want to do as well. Corks has fantastic catering options. You can get big trays of their crispy fried catfish. You can get the big jumbo shrimp. They've got the Corks Party Pack that serves 10 or more. That comes with your 20 pieces of fried fish, 60 jumbo Gulf shrimp, a quart of crawfish etouffee with white rice, a quart of coleslaw, pan of crinkle-cut fries, 20 hush puppies, got 15 rolls, all the sauces. Plus, you can get a gallon of sweet tea or a gallon of their lemonade that's freshly brewed every single day. Throw in the beignet bites if you want. 12 of them for just $5. Awesome stuff over there at Cork. So check them out if you have any catering needs moving forward. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on this Friday. We'll have Travis Brown with us here in about 20 minutes talking LSU and Texas A&M. When we come back, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, always with us talk LSU football on Fridays. We will do that next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobacboatservice.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The latest on LSU's coaching staff and the Riot Radio Hours return. Ryan's Letter, Kick Rocks, Ask Ryan, all that good stuff. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Hope your Friday is a good one. It's a good one in here in studio. Welcoming our guests every Friday, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking Tiger football. Preston, how are you, sir? Oh, we dropped him, apparently, so we'll get him back. Friday. Vibes are good. Every once in a while, the phones aren't going to act properly. That's okay. Hopefully, they act properly for the next 30 minutes because we're going to talk to Preston here shortly, and then we'll chat with Travis Brown about this A&M team. It's a bit of an enigma right now from a basketball perspective. Talent seems to be pretty good. Results, not very good, and they certainly weren't when LSU for A&M, when LSU went to College Station a couple of weeks ago. So we'll talk with Travis coming up in 15 minutes. Preston, do we have you now?
Yeah, man, I'm good. What's going on?
Not a ton. Just hanging out here on a Friday. Now that the dust is essentially settled on this staff, where you're replacing both coordinators, we don't know what the offense is going to be, but we have a feeling it's going to be a promotion from within. What is your take on the overall makeup of this staff now?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good defensive staff. There's no doubt about that. There's some hires where there are some moments that give you moments of pause. You know, Corey Raymond, obviously 4 years ago was a Grand Slam, defensive backs coach, but the fact of the matter is his last 4 units that he's coached have ranked in the bottom third of the country in passing defense. So would I feel more confident in his body of work being that his last few years had been hotter? Sure, but you still have to look at the overall body of work. Overall, I don't see any way you don't give the hiring of this defensive staff at least an A.
Yeah, I think from a recruiting perspective, for sure, these guys have got a lot of skins on the wall. From a game planning deal, that's a little above my pay grade. But I feel like, at least from a recruiting perspective, which is where I think some of LSU's problems manifested. I mean, when you go back and look at that defense, as I've said many times, none of it was good. But I just thought maybe the level of talent wasn't quite what we're accustomed to in Baton Rouge. And you would think that would turn around pretty quickly with this group, no?
Well, that and how you develop the talent.
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys like Quincy Wiggins was very highly recruited and had all the physical tools, but he was very evidently a guy who was not getting the development he needed with that rotating circle of, defensive line coaches coming in and out of LSU. So now you're not messing around. You got 2 guys who can develop technique at a very high level. And Kevin Peoples, who's going to focus specifically on edge rushers, and you're going to focus on and Bo Davis, who's going to be the rest of your defensive line coach. So, I mean, you're developing players at a whole different level. Your defensive line coaches alone are 2 of the very best in the country. And we all saw the job Blake Baker's done with linebackers. I think the development of this team is going to be a lot better. But, yeah, the recruiting does need to get better. It's not 100% the coach's fault. They inherited an empty cabinet when Ogeron left, 39 scholarship players available for the bowl game. And then, you lost a good bit on your recruiting class and did what you could to put it together. And the rest you had to piece together in the transfer portal. And the thing is about the portal is some guys are ready to plug and play, and obviously, as we saw last year, most of the guys they got weren't ready to plug and play. But I also do think a lot of that struggle was scheme, and a lot of that struggle was just not coaching the players technique-wise very well. Omar Spates looked really good in the Senior Bowl, and he did not look good at all for LSU. He also looked really good for Oregon State. When you start seeing performances like that, you start to have to question, was it really the talent? Yeah, questions start to arise.
Yeah, for sure. There was a lot of questions with everything they did on defense last year. They're a little bit over the 85 number, which is fine. You don't have to get in compliance with that until August. But do you expect another transfer portal addition or 2 on defense, whether it's in the next couple of weeks or in the spring portal opening?
I do. There's a cornerback from Alabama who just entered the portal, Jameer Kingsley. I could see, Corey Raymond was really high on him in Florida. I could see them going after him. They're trying to get this receiver who also, and then these are 2024 guys, but they had already signed and enrolled on campus and then entered the portal. So Ryan Williams is another guy. I mean, if these are guys that are good enough where if they're there, you take them and you make room as it comes, right? I could see a handful of guys like that. I don't think that they're just taking anybody and everybody like they have the last 2 years. They're at 88 right now, which means everybody you have to take on. If you've added one player, that means you're going to have to cut 4 others right now. That's where you're at. So, and you're already going to have to cut 3 just to make it there. Now, whether you have to actually cut or attrition naturally happens, as we typically see, we'll see. But that's a great problem to have based off of where this team's been in the last 3 years.
Yeah, and it got me thinking, as opposed to, quote-unquote, cutting players, is there a way in this new landscape where you could keep them all and just say, hey, you're not going to be on scholarship. However, we're going to put together a package NIL-wise where you're going to be compensated enough to where you don't have to worry about the financial end of it. Is that a possibility?
I haven't heard it in football yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure, as you're well aware, baseball with the 11.7, that's real big right now.
Right.
And it's especially been big for LSU's baseball program where they don't have to keep it that low. It would take some crafty work and obviously some extra investment from your NIL collective funds, which I am a little questioning how that aspect is looking with LSU, because you see the 2025 guys that are coming in. You know a lot of those NIL dollars are being attributed to those guys. In this era, I could see guys essentially, taking a gray shirt and they're just like, cool, I'm with it. What would be funny about that is the guys who get off of scholarship. Do you take it from the fringe guy and just get him an NIL deal he wouldn't have? Or are you pulling it from one of your big star players who, hey man, look, you're pulling in 6 figures in NIL money. Why don't you take one for the team here and be a walk-on for us? That'd be pretty funny, wouldn't it?
Famously, Rafe Rhymes did that back in the early 2010s. He was not on any. He and Mason Katz were not on any scholarship money. They allocated that elsewhere, and those guys paid their way. So it's interesting. It's a different era, and the conversations are very, very different. Let's talk about what's going on in Tuscaloosa. What has been your impression of the last week in T-Town?
I just feel so bad.
I know. I can hear it in your voice.
I feel so bad for them. They don't deserve this. All right. 30 players have entered the transfer portal. And, I said to myself, well, LSU had the same thing. I looked back to 2022, the year only 17 entered the portal from LSU that year. Oh, that blew my mind, the comparison between the two. In fact, it's so bad for Alabama, the 2024 guys who just signed are entering the portal. The part I find very disingenuous with the national media talking about this story is a lot of these guys are saying, we have to fix college football. What's happening to Alabama is so wrong, blah, blah. As if something similar hadn't been going down for schools for the last 3 years. Why is it all of a sudden a problem because it happens to Alabama? I'm not disagreeing with the fact that this needs major reform, but just because it happens to Alabama doesn't mean now we need to fix it. You've been needing to fix this issue. You got to adjust these transfer portal windows. I mean, because it is it's making it harder to keep up with teams. You have way too much rotation going on. Coaches are bailing on their teams. The ball season is almost unwatchable at times because coaches bail, players bail, everybody bails as soon as whatever that window is, December 15th, they're done. and whatever's left is what you get on the field. It definitely needs some reworking, but in terms of what Alabama to expect from them next year, I think 9 or 10 wins, and Kalen DeBoer needs to be considered like coach of the year type stuff. Because I mean, this is a lot, and they lost their crown jewel for the 2024 class today, Julian Sayin. Man, that it is rough what's going on in Tuscaloosa.
What's your early thought? I'm not going to hold you to it, but your early thought on what Kalen DeBoer's tenure in Tuscaloosa might be like?
Not as good as Saban's.
That's well said. That was basically my answer. Was like when they fired Saban, who do you want him to hire? I said, I don't care. Anyone that's not Nick Saban, I'll be fine.
Yeah, or I guess Kirby Smart would stop.
Yes.
To have that happen, but I think Kirby Smart's at his final stop. I mean, he's at his alma mater, but yeah. maybe I'll expand a little bit more than not as good. I guess there's some room in between not as good as Saban and everybody else to expand upon, right? Yeah, I think Kalen DeBoer is a good coach. I have some concerns about his ability to recruit. Washington was recruiting basically like, in the teens for about 5 years before he got there. And, he hit the transfer portal. He got Michael Penix Jr., and he was there for 2 years, and they were recruiting basically in the 30s. They weren't bringing in a high level of talent. And I understand the portal makes up for recruiting deficiencies. That does make me question his long-term success, and the fact that he has been unable to recruit his current roster and commitments, because, he's lost so many players. I think that speaks volumes. I have some serious questions about his ability to recruit. He might prove me wrong. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. Like I said, don't hold me to this, but I think that unless he picks it up a good bit, I think that they're going to have trouble sustaining anywhere near the level of success they've seen.
Well, let's play some hypotheticals. Just have some fun. More wins over the next 2 football seasons, Ole Miss or Alabama?
Ole Miss. Oh, yeah. Oh, especially considering next year Ole Miss is going to be a juggernaut. Or if they should be. They should be world beaters next year. If they're not in the SEC championship next year, I don't know when the next time it'll happen for them. But next year I expect them to at least win 2 more games than Alabama. But and then the year after that, who knows in this era? Because I'm sure all of Ole Miss's roster will be gone. But I'll pick Ole Miss over them.
It's just fascinating because I would have never said that 2 months ago.
No.
And now you say it without any hesitation.
Mm-hmm. It's easy for me.
It's crazy. Preston Guy with us every single Friday talking a little LSU football. We appreciate it, man. Have a great weekend.
Hey, Hunt.
Yes, sir.
Taking the kid to the first basketball game. He's 15 months old. Should I go to the women's or men's this weekend?
Men's. They need you.
Men's.
The women are going to be fine. They're going to do just fine. The men need you. So to show up on Saturday.
All right. Well, look for the little guy in his tiger outfit.
We will do it. Thanks, man. Have a great time.
All right. You too.
He's Preston Guy, TigerBait.com. Yeah, I hope they both win. I hope they both have packed houses. But if we're looking for the one that needs a little help, the guys, the men, they're going to need you a little bit more. The women, they're going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine. Somebody tell Coach Mulkey I said that because she'd be really cranky about it. All right, speaking of basketball, Texas A&M and LSU basketball tomorrow in the PMAC. Travis Brown covers A&M. We'll ask him a little bit about how things are going early in the Mike Elko era, but we'll talk a little basketball with Travis coming up next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. You know it by now. David Duvall and his team, been in the game 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. If you're worried about maybe an aging loved one lives alone or just has a little bit of trouble getting around and the bathroom can be a dangerous spot, just do what you can to make them as safe as possible. Put in non-slip floors. How about some guardrails in the bathtub, toilet areas, a walk-in tub to make things more convenient and safer for an aging loved one? One Bath and Closets does that kind of stuff all the time. If you're thinking, I really need to do that, but paying for it might be a bit of an issue, well, they got financing options to help you get through that as well. Let David Duvall and his team come in, give you that free consultation, show you what they can do for you. Go to the website, onebathandclosets.com. You can see pictures of their great work, see the testimonials from their satisfied customers, and as I said, request that free consultation. Onebathandclosets.com, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 Black Widow trucks, $20,000 off new Ram 1500 trucks, and all new Bayou Automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
the best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Elevate brand visibility, ignite customer engagement with the power of radio and digital advertising combined. Guarantee Digital Media brings the two together as a trusted media partner in Louisiana for nearly a century. Claim your free digital audit at guaranteemedia.com.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of...
On Mondays, OTB, we recap a rollicking good weekend of NFL football, plus the latest out of the unending college football news cycle. Brand new edition of Weekend Winners, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Rouse's Supermarkets.
Shout out Rouse's, but today's Corks. Either way, patronize both. You looking for groceries? Rouse's works. Looking for food that's already ready for you? Corks is your spot. Appreciate them bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. Let's go over to Texas. Travis Brown, Bryan College Station Eagle with us to talk A&M. Win relevant certainly is this weekend with the Tigers and Aggies playing in the PMAC tomorrow afternoon. Travis, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hey, can't complain. It's warmer than it was last week, so that's all that matters.
That is exactly right. Before we get to basketball, we did this a couple weeks ago, but I'm just kind of checking in as necessary. How are things looking on the Mike Elko front for Aggie football?
I mean, I think A&M fans can't complain too much with now having, at least according to 247 Sports, the number one transfer class this cycle as of a couple days ago, at least. They've pulled in something like 22 or 23 transfers. So, you know, it's funny. I saw an Aggie fan post that this might be the most highly anticipated spring game ever because of just how much not proven, but experienced talent has been brought in. So I think that for any negative feelings, there is some momentum heading into the spring.
How big a sigh of relief was there when Texas lost in the national semifinal over there?
There was a lot of people who were rooting against the Longhorns. That is for sure.
I just feel like with Texas now stepping into the conference next year, that coming in off of a national final or a national championship would have not been something that Aggie fans would have been too keen on. I didn't want it either, so I think we're all in lockstep with that. All right, let's talk some basketball. I feel like expectations high for this A&M team. All of a sudden, you look up 10-7 and 1-3 in the league. I realized a heartbreaker earlier this week up in Fayetteville, but what's the vibe around the A&M basketball team right now?
Yeah, it's one of the weirdest teams that I've ever watched because the talent is there. If you look at production from guys like Wade Taylor, Tyrese Radford, Henry Coleman last year, early in the season this year, there is a lot of talent on this team. They just can't, A, stay healthy, have their full group all together this season, and B, just find some level of continuity. I mean, the Arkansas game on Tuesday was case in point where they shoot like almost negative percentile from the field in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game. And then Wade Taylor just absolutely goes off for 41 points, and it's a buzzer beater at the end of the game, a buzzer beating loss. So they haven't really been able to put together a complete game against Kentucky, which was just weird and random, but also kind of showcases the talent that is on this team. But then you go back to like the first game against LSU, and just everything went wrong. LSU out-rebounded them, which is their calling card, especially on the offensive boards. They had like 3 second chance points, which is one of the highest percentages of where they get their points because they're not necessarily a great shooting team. And then they just shot terribly. So it just kind of depends on which team shows up, and not only physically with who's healthy, but kind of who can shoot the ball, who has the touch, and who doesn't.
Will they be healthy tomorrow?
It's looking like they're going to be back to full strength. I know Henry Coleman was the big absence from the Arkansas game, and every indication is that he should be back tomorrow. But we're talking to Buzz this afternoon, so maybe we'll get some more information on that.
Wade Taylor, obviously the preseason conference player of the year, has been sensational. 41 points back on Tuesday. He's option 1. Who's option 2 offensively for this team?
I think it goes by the eye test. It goes between Tyrese Radford and Henry Coleman. But I argue that Henry Coleman is actually maybe the most important guy on this team because of how their game plan is built. Kind of like what I was saying. They're not necessarily going to shoot the ball just lights out all the time, but they're the best offensive rebounding team in the country. They have been, if not, they're either 1 or 2 right now in second chance points. So a lot of times Wade Taylor's crazy 3-pointers, if he sees that his guys are in offensive rebounding position, are almost sometimes more like post-entry passes than actual 3-point shots, because they can get the rebound, get an easy layup, get an and one, or get fouled, and they get a lot of points from the free throw line or at the rim like that. So in the first 5 games of the season, Henry Coleman was averaging a double-double. If you look at Bart Torvik's player metrics, he was like the 5th most valuable player in the country. He's hovered around the top 15 because of his ability to score and to get rebounds. So Henry Coleman is in my mind probably the next most talented, most important player on the team.
We know 2 years ago they caught fire late, including the SEC tournament. Last year, a little bit of a bumpy non-conference, and then we're so good all of league play, really. So improvement as the season has gone on in the last 2 years under Buzz. Is his sentiment when he's speaking to y'all, like it'll click here at some point? We're just kind of waiting on it.
Yeah, I think what what equates to that kind of sentiment this year is the fact that he's mentioned how many man games they've lost between, Solomon Washington, A&M's best defender, another kind of post presence. He was injured for that first LSU game. And him being a Louisiana native, was going to be geared up for that game. He didn't get to play. You have Henry Coleman out. You had Boots Radford out for 5 games or so. You had just different guys out at different times. And so the few games, the Kentucky game was one of the few games that they had everybody available. And so they had everybody available early in the season. So I think that there's something to the continuity of their top 7 players, that when they're all there in their positions, they know how this offense and defense works, and they're a better team for it.
Did y'all ever get an explanation on Julius Marble and his unavailability? How he hadn't played all year. I don't know that I saw any resolution to that.
Right. There hasn't been anything yet. What we got was that it's the university process that he was going through, and that the team was pretty much in the dark on when or if that would be resolved. And that was still the case as of right before the first LSU game, because that was the last time we were able to ask. And from poking around to people inside the program, I mean, they're very much in the dark about what that is. Haven't revealed what caused him to be inserted into a university process. But, at this point in the season, Buzz has some strict rules where they go through a kind of conditioning, team building boot camp before they even touch a ball at the beginning of fall camp. And any player who is involved with the team has to go through boot camp. I'm not sure if Marble did or not, but if he didn't, it's like a 3-week process. And I would see Buzz saying that he needs to go through boot camp before he's able to be eligible on the floor. And that would leave very little of the season left if it became that he was eligible this week. So I wouldn't necessarily count on Marble being back this year.
Interesting. It's just kind of a weird story. Heck of a player as well in the front court. Travis, thanks so much for your time. Have a great weekend, man.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Travis Brown, Bryan College Station Eagle, covering the Texas A&M Aggies. Hopefully they don't find it tomorrow. They've just been kind of clunky this year. It just hadn't sunk together. It's a team that's had some injuries and they've had some shooting issues. And I'll give you my full scouting report and breakdown on them in the second hour. It's certainly a team with an identity. They've got one great offensive player. The rest is not great, and they rebound like crazy. But LSU's played better of late and certainly played very well in that game in College Station. So hopefully that continues and they can get a win tomorrow in what we would assume would be a little better crowd than they've had really all year long, and that shouldn't be a huge surprise. So LSU and A&M tomorrow, 3 o'clock, so you can hear that on Eagle 98.1. Our sister station will be Chris Blair and John Brady on the call pregame at 2:30 over there on Eagle. All right, when we come back, I'll get you ready for the SEC hoops games coming up tomorrow. A couple of really, really good ones. Still got to talk about the NFL playoffs at the top of hour number 2, Saints mock drafts, my thoughts on LSU and A&M. So stick with us. We got a lot to get to on this Friday edition, brought to you by Corks.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Bayou Ford is taking $10,000 off MSRP on new 23 Ford F-150 lifted trucks. $10,000 off new Ford F-150 and 3.9% financing. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Sandegriff joined me and Jimmy out for the Monday edition of Live at Lunch. We're at the BetMGM Sportsbook at the Beau Rivage in Biloxi, recapping the weekend in the NFL and college basketball. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Let's wrap up hour number one with the SEC basketball slate for tomorrow. Just some good TV watching for you if you're looking for something pre-NFL football. Not necessarily South Carolina and Arkansas, which is the first game at noon on the SEC Network. It's not a must-win for the Hogs, but they need to win. Arkansas needs to beat South Carolina at home. They got a buzzer beater to beat Texas A&M back on Tuesday. And that got him in the win column for the first time in league play. They got to beat Lamont Paris's team as they head up to Bud Walton. If Arkansas falls to 1-4, you start creating too big a hole to get into the NCAA tournament. I don't think Arkansas is a tournament team right now based on how they're playing, what they've looked like really all year. But it's worth, that program has probably earned the right to be spoken about in tournament terms right now. LSU is still trying to reach that point after what they looked like last year. Arkansas, having made deep runs 3 years in a row, you think of that as an NCAA tournament program. They don't win tomorrow, it starts to get really, really difficult to make that happen. Here's the big one, 1 o'clock on ESPN2. I cannot wait to watch some of this basketball game. Contrasting styles, really good coaches. It's Alabama at Tennessee in Knoxville. Bama is 12-5 on the year. They are 4-0 in league play. They boast the number one offense in college basketball. Their efficiency ratings are incredible. They shoot it really well. Nate Oates knows what he wants to do on offense, and they just do it. And they're really, really tough to stop. Mark Sears has kind of become the leader of that program this year, and he's been fantastic. And Tennessee's been great really all year. They did lose to Mississippi State in Starkville. They didn't play very well on offense in that game, and Chris Jans' group's a pretty good defensive club. But Tennessee's really good. I think is Final Four good, and they're really good on defense. That's what Rick Barnes' programs pride themselves on. And so Alabama's high-flying, high-scoring attack in Knoxville against Tennessee is going to be a ton of fun to watch. I can't wait to see that one. I like Tennessee to win the game, but I certainly wouldn't rule out Alabama going up there and getting it done. Vanderbilt, whenever I see Vanderbilt now, I'm just going to think about what me and Beck talked about yesterday or 2 days ago, whether or not Jerry Stackhouse is going to coach against LSU on March the 2nd. That's the only thing I can even bring to analyze Vanderbilt basketball, and they're that bad at this point. They're in Starkville to take on a 1-3 Mississippi State team. Not a great matchup, but I'm sure Mississippi State will very well take care of business. Georgia, are they to be taken for real? We'll see. They're 13-4. They're 3-1 in league play. Mike White's in year 2 up there, and has got that team playing well. They got to go to Rupp tomorrow, and Kentucky is a handful in Rupp. Kentucky, this is not a typical Calipari team. When I think of a Calipari team, I think of these 7-footers with long arms, blocking shots, really tough on defense, long guards. That's what I think of when I think of Cal. This team is not that. This team is offensive driven. They play with a ton of pace. I love watching Reed Humphreys play. He's so fun to watch. Legacy player there that can just knock it down from anywhere. And Reeves has been great for them as well. I like watching Kentucky play. I don't like John Calipari. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know that I dislike John Calipari. I don't respect John Calipari as a basketball coach. Now, Will Wade was gone before I could ask him this question, but Wade always talked up Calipari. I think Calipari's a ridiculously good recruiter. I've never found him to be a great basketball mind. Of course, I'm not at practice, so I don't know what he's beating into. But I notice when I hear Calipari talk in press conferences or interviews, he always talks about playing hard and doing the right things, and he never talks about what they were trying to accomplish on the floor. There's never any conversation about what the set was designed to do. It's just, and you don't have to say that in a press conference to know it. It just feels like John Calipari is the most roll the ball out there and go play coach out there. But maybe I'm completely off base with that. However, I like watching this Kentucky team play. I think they're good. I think they'll handle Georgia with relative ease tomorrow in Rupp. Florida and Missouri. Mizzou is threatening to go 0-5 in league play. They were good last year, and now they're just not. I mean, you're talking about a team that's right now 8-9 overall, 0-4 in league play. They weren't great in the non-conference, and they've been bad in league play. Florida is 1-3. So, look, a couple of teams that are down on their luck at this point in the SEC schedule one of them will rise up and get something done, but Missouri threatening to go to 0-5. And that's, again, I think as I try to categorize LSU in the SEC, I put, as I've said many times, Tennessee, Kentucky, Bama, and Auburn probably up towards the top. Then you got Vanderbilt towards the bottom, and I think Missouri is threatening to be tossed in with that group. Missouri's not as bad as Vanderbilt, but they're not good. And as I start looking at games LSU can win, as you try to get to 6, 7, 8, 9 conference wins, whatever's possible. I don't know. I didn't have LSU at 3-1, so I don't know what's possible for this team. But that's a team towards the bottom of the conference for sure. And that's one that when the time comes, that LSU will certainly have every opportunity to beat. I don't know about Florida yet. I think they're better than that 1-3 record in league play would indicate. They played a tough game against Kentucky and got beat late in that one. They lost at Ole Miss when Ole Miss was shooting the lights out, and they went to Tennessee and lost. So those are really good losses, as I use air quotes, in league play. Their one win was against Arkansas, and they crushed the Hogs in Gainesville. So they're in a little bit of a more manageable spot in the schedule with Missouri, Mississippi State, and Georgia coming up. They don't play Kentucky for a couple of weeks. They don't play Bama for about a month. They do play them twice, and they still got 2 games coming up with Vanderbilt as well. So I think Missouri is like towards the bottom of the league. I think Florida is probably one of those mid-tier teams, and those are the teams that I'm talking about comparing LSU to. And that's what we were talking about with the Ole Miss game. Honestly, that's what we'll talk about with this A&M game tomorrow for LSU. It's like the middle of the league, the Ole Miss, Florida, Georgia, A&M, Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina crew. Like that group, where is LSU stack up in there? That's kind of what this season will boil down to. If they wade toward the top of that group, then you're talking about a team that can win 8 or 9 league games. If they're toward the bottom of that group, you're looking at closer to 5. And I realize that's really hard to say when you look at a team that's 3-1. You get 5 wins, but if you're losing to those teams and you're not going to beat Tennessee and you're not going to beat Alabama and you're not going to beat Kentucky, in my view, well, then the numbers start to work out there. So curious to see how that one shakes out tomorrow. And then Ole Miss and Auburn will do battle at 7:30 on the SEC Network. That'll be on the Plains. I do not have high hopes for Ole Miss in that one. That Ole Miss 15-1 start with the national ranking is going to end up being a bit of a paper tiger. And I don't mean to diminish LSU's win on Wednesday, because I think that was really good for where this program is to win that game at home against a team that has a really good coach and some really old good guards. But they're not the 22nd best team in the country. And look, we had David Eckert on before the game from the Jackson Clarion Ledger, and he was like, do I think they're pretty good? Yeah. Do I think they're the 22nd best team in the country? I don't. And there's a reason that LSU was favored in that game. I would have bet the house on Ole Miss had I been into those types of things, but that would have been dead wrong because LSU won the game by 9 points. I think Ole Miss is in big trouble. I think everybody that goes into Auburn is in big trouble this year. And let's just look at what Auburn's got on the schedule in terms of teams that might be able to go into Auburn Arena and win. The next game is Vanderbilt. I don't think that's going to go very well for the Doors. Alabama goes to Auburn. Kentucky goes to Auburn. Mississippi State and Georgia. I think there's really only 2 games that Auburn could be pushed at home, and I think that would be Kentucky and Alabama in those 2. So I think a lot of Bruce Pearl's team. They're not as NBA-laden talent as some of the teams he's had at Auburn are, but they're very, very good. So that's my look at the Southeastern Conference. Of course, LSU and A&M coming at you at 3 o'clock tomorrow. That game will be on ESPNU for those of you that can't get on out there. When we come back after SportsCenter, we're going to take a look at the NFL weekend to come. Maybe the best weekend in the NFL, divisional weekend. You get 4 games and high-level football. Saints mock draft talk in the second hour, as well as my thoughts on LSU and Texas A&M coming up tomorrow. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by Government Street between Jefferson and Foster. Fantastic fried catfish, shrimp, French fries, hush puppies, delicious biscuits. It's all good. Stop on by there at Corks. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. We'll follow us for SportsCenter. When we come back, let's talk a little NFL football on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. Breaking news from ESPN's Jeff Passan. Star closer Josh Hader and the Astros agreed on a 5-year, $95 million contract, the largest present-day value contract for a reliever in MLB history. Injury news for NFL Divisional Playoff weekend. Bills ruled out receiver Gabe Davis, safety Taylor Rapp, quarterback Christian Benford, and linebacker Balin Spector Sunday against the Chiefs. Linebacker Tyrell Dodson and corner Russell Douglas trending toward returning. This game will mark the first time since October 2020 that Buffalo will host the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs. ESPN NFL analyst Damian Woody.
That crowd up in Buffalo is one of the best home environments, particularly at this time of year because it's cold, the elements, the crowd noise, it all plays a factor. We've seen time and time again with this Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, particularly their tackles, they've had issues all year long. home, away, it doesn't matter. So it will be a factor in this game.
Ohio State's hired Bill O'Brien as its offensive coordinator. He was the Patriots OC in 2023. NBA Spurs rookie Victor Wembanyama won't play against the Hornets tonight, listed as out for rest.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Candy. Coming up Monday, we'll react to the divisional round action, plus continue to react to the coaching carousel. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
All right, 1 hour to go in the work week for yours truly. Hope that's the case for you as well. Maybe you're done for the week, knocked off early on Friday. Love to hear that. Lovely day outside here in South Louisiana. If you still got a few more hours left on the clock, we can help you get through one of them here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt will handle the rest there on AFR later this afternoon. We'll talk LSU A&M a little bit later. Saints mock draft thoughts coming up in 15 minutes. But many say this is the best weekend of NFL football because it's the most with the best team. So let's get into divisional weekend. Let's roll. Start chronologically, Saturday, 3:30 on ESPN and ABC, the 4 seed in the AFC, Houston Texans, at the number 1 seed, Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are laying 9.5 in this one. Lamar Jackson is 0-2 in the divisional round of the playoffs. Good news for him, the Texans are 0-4 in the divisional round of the playoffs since they were founded, and they've lost those games by an average of 14.5 points. Something's got to give on Saturday afternoon. C.J. Stroud led the NFL in passing yards per game this year as a rookie, and last week against a good Browns defense, he threw for 236 yards in the first half. Ravens defense is not going to have Marlon Humphrey at corner. That's going to hurt them a little bit, but it's been a really good defense all year. Maybe the best in the league if you look at the fact that they led the NFL in points allowed per game, in sacks, and in takeaways. They're the first defense in the history of the NFL to lead in all 3 of those statistical categories. I still think Stroud is good, and while I love the Ravens and I think they'll win this game, I think the Texans can cover the 9.5. That's a lot of points with a quarterback playing as well as Stroud is. Give me the Texans and the 9.5. Saturday night, 7 o'clock on Fox. Go to the NFC. It's the 7 seed Packers and the 1 seed 49ers. Another 9.5 point number here for the homestanding 49ers. This is the 10th meeting between these two in the playoffs. That is the most common matchup in NFL history. The 49ers have won 6 straight divisional round games. They've also won 5 straight home playoff games. That's the longest current streak in the NFL. They have been so consistent and so good. Speaking of consistent and good, Jordan Love, since week 10, leads the NFL in QBR by a lot. I don't have to tell you how that's calculated. I don't even know, but he's playing really well, and he was good last week against Dallas. The Packers have won 4 straight games in which they were an underdog. I just think San Francisco's too complete. They're too physical. They're too tough. Their coach is too good. Brock Purdy's playing at an all-pro type level, and he doesn't have that kind of talent just because Shanahan is that good. I'll take San Francisco. I'll lay the points in this one. Not ready to buy the Packers to that extent, but they've been proving people wrong for a month. We'll see what they can do. Move to Sunday's action, 2 o'clock. The number 4 seed Buccaneers are at the number 3 seed Detroit Lions. Lions favored by 6.5 in this one. These two teams played earlier in the season. Detroit won at Tampa 20-6. But Tampa's playing a little bit better than they were at that point. This is a weird deal between Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff because they're number 1 overall picks that are kind of making their mark somewhere else. Doesn't happen all that often. The Bucs are the third in the NFL in blitz rate. They like to bring a lot of pressure, and Jared Goff is tied for 2nd in the NFL with the most turnovers against the blitz. He turned it over 7 times against pressure this year. The Lions' pass defense is their weakness. Aiden Hutchinson tries to make up for that with his pass rush, and he had another multi-sack game last week in that home playoff win for Detroit. This is just too many points for me, 6.5. I think that Tampa's playing pretty well. I still am not ready to fully trust the Detroit Lions in the playoffs. That doesn't make a lot of sense because what does 10 years ago have to do with this year? It doesn't, but it's just how I feel. Give me the Bucks. I'll take the 6.5 points and kind of hold my nose on that one. Should be an awesome environment up in Detroit for that one. In the late game on Sunday, 5:30, the one with the most star power and the biggest two brands that are going of recent memory is the 3 seed in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs, at the 2 seed Buffalo Bills. Bills a 2.5 point choice in this one. Shouldn't be any precipitation. It's just going to be cold up in Buffalo, as it generally is this time of year. Josh Allen is 3-1 against Patrick Mahomes in the regular season. Great record. He's 0-2 against Patrick Mahomes in the playoff. Those are the ones that count for a lot more. The Bills forced 30 turnovers this year. That's the second most in the NFL. And Kansas City only forced 17. That was 27th in the league. Turnovers can be huge. Can the Bills continue that and try to create some turnovers from Patrick Mahomes and company? He's really only played one bad half of playoff football in his career, and it was the second half of the AFC Championship game against the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a big deal here in this game. 3 Buffalo Bill cornerbacks are banged up. The question is, does Kansas City have the wide receivers to exploit that? That's been the running gag in the league all year. It's like, yeah, they still got Andy Reid, who's awesome. They still got Patrick Mahomes, who's the best, but their wide receivers stink. So does the Bills' depleted secondary have enough to stick with them? We'll see. Patrick Mahomes is 12-3 in the playoffs, but he's never won on the road because he's never started a playoff game on the road. He will this time in front of a house of crazies in Buffalo. The Bills, incidentally, need to get Stephon Diggs going. His last touchdown was November the 26th. His last 100-yard receiving game was October 13th. That's way too sleepy for a guy as good as Stephon Diggs is. This game's going to be awesome. I can't wait to watch it. Romo's probably going to be freaking out. But I just think those Bills injuries in the secondary are a lot to deal with. I know the mentality is next man up, next man up, next man up. The next man up's not as good. That's just the way it goes. And for me, I think that's a bad deal for the Bills. I'm going to keep my points with Patrick Mahomes. I'll take the 2.5 and feel pretty good about the Kansas City Chiefs. They win a lot at Arrowhead. We'll see if they can go up to Orchard Park and get it done. So my picks for divisional weekend in the National Football League, I've got the Texans catching 9.5 at Baltimore. I've got San Francisco laying 9.5 against the Packers. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the 6.5 up in Detroit. And I will take the Kansas City Chiefs and the 2.5 points there up at Buffalo. I'm usually a favorites guy. I'm Joe Public. I usually take a lot of favorites. I got a lot of points I'm catching this week in the NFL in 3 or 4 games. I am taking the underdog. We shall see. Excited for a weekend of NFL football. Friday shows brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Nothing better to be eating on when you're watching some NFL playoffs or LSU basketball than Corks. Swing on by that government location and pick up a delicious platter of fried catfish or fried shrimp with your French fries. Maybe baked potato with some crawfish etouffee on it. Pretty good option there as well. Corks, it's awesome new food concept here in Baton Rouge. Just had their first anniversary a couple of weeks ago. Congratulations to the Medinka boys who have been doing such a great job with Corks, and we love partnering with them every single Friday. My thoughts on Texas A&M and LSU coming at you in 20 minutes, but when we come back, I've got an aggregate of mock drafts, and I don't really care as much necessarily about the players, more so about where do people think the Saints might go in the upcoming NFL draft. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love the folks over at Boudreaux's Electric. Neil and Melissa Boudreaux. Been operating Boudreaux's Electric for 40 years. One of the really cool things they can offer you over at Boudreaux's Electric is the fact that they can monitor your generator 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never know exactly when we're going to need our generator to kick on. Maybe it's an ice storm. Maybe it's one of those summer pop-up storms that knocks the power out like it did for me for the College World Series opener against Tennessee. Maybe it's a hurricane. But you need your generator to respond when it's time. Well, if there's some sort of technical issue, you may not know about it. Boudreaux's Electric will know because they monitor it 24/7. So if something happens, whether kids knock something loose or just a chemical breakdown in the machine, Boudreaux's will know about it. They'll call you, say, hey, we understand something's going on there. Let us come out and fix it so that when you need that Boudreaux's Electric generator to come on, it'll do it. Give them a phone call. New location in Gonzales. Opening up soon, but the phone line is already humming. Call them at 225-300-9389, 225-300-9389, and get that generator installed soon. No need to sit through power outages. You can protect yourself from it with the folks over at Boudreaux's Electric.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch on Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
The importance of doing this fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance jobs, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman family's been doing it for 38 years. Go to fronttobackboatservice.com.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at Relief.
This weekend, we bring you a double dose of NFL games. We start on Saturday at 3:30 with Texans-Ravens. Immediately following that, it's Packers-49ers. Then on Sunday at 2 o'clock, it's Buccaneers-Lions. Then Chiefs-Bills. Catch all the action on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
.104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge brings you live coverage of the 2024 Reese's Senior Bowl. Our team of T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester will be hosting Off the Bench live from Mobile, Alabama, Monday, January 29th through Thursday, February 2nd. Listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and watch us on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
So the New Orleans Saints no longer playing football this year, did not qualify for the playoffs. That's not news to any of you. But so we turn our attention to the offseason and the changes that need to go on within the organization to move this thing forward. You understand where they are from a coaching perspective. They're going to find an offensive coordinator and then upgrade the roster to the best of their capability. The easiest way to do that is through the NFL draft. And we're looking at a number of mock drafts that are coming out, and we know now where the Saints will pick. So there are folks that are putting out mocks, and I'm less concerned with the exact player that they're pigeonholing to New Orleans and more about what kind of position are they looking at for the Saints. I have my thoughts. I gave them to you earlier this week. I think that pass rusher and offensive line are the two biggest needs on this team. And so when you look at the first mock draft that I pulled today, it is from Sports Illustrated, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But no, sorry, it was not from Sports Illustrated. We'll go to the top of the page here. The first mock draft I looked at was from ESPN. Jordan Reed at ESPN has J.C. Latham, big right tackle from Alabama, going to the Saints. I think that makes a ton of sense. You don't know exactly where you are with Ryan Ramczyk. You don't know what you're going to get out of Trevor Penning, if anything. You've got to figure out Andrus Pete's contract. Same thing with James Hurst. If you want to bring him back, we'll see. But right now, there are significant needs at tackle, and I think that that J.C. Latham very likely would fill one of those needs, whether it's him or somebody else that you could grab. The Athletic had a mock draft from Nick Baumgardner, who has pigeonholed Rome Odunze as the Saints' first-round pick. This doesn't make any sense to me. I realize that adding Rome Odunze would add a really quality player and pass catcher to your offense. But you've got Chris Olave, you've got Rashid Shaheed, A.T. Perry came along a little bit and was better, and you may have something in him. You've still got Keith Kirkwood, Lynn Bowden Jr., who are not frontline NFL receivers, but Chris Olave is, and Rashid Shaheed is a big playmaker. And if you think you've got something A.T. Perry, you're now drafting Rome Odunze basically as a luxury, just as something, another potential really quality pass catcher, but it's not a need. You can go get a number 3 receiver in free agency for pretty inexpensive. You're talking about a first-round draft choice in the top 20 picks of the draft. I do not understand thinking that a wide receiver makes a lot of sense there. Now, NBC Sports had a mock draft out from Connor Rogers, and they've got UCLA's Leiatu Latu going to the Saints. He's pass rusher, and I think that makes a ton of sense. I'm right there. If you want to draft him, Jared Verse was somebody we mentioned yesterday as somebody to rush the passer, I think that's a great idea. That's a need. Your pass rush this year stunk. Cam Jordan had 2 sacks. He's not getting any younger. Now, you've paid Carl Granderson, and that's awesome, and I just don't think you can expect anything from Peyton Turner. So you need to find somebody that can rush the passer. Whether you think Isaiah Foskey can grow into that, we'll see. Fox Sports had a mock draft from Jason McIntyre that had the Saints going with Illinois defensive tackle Jerjon Newton. They think he's the top interior lineman in the draft. But you just signed 2 guys on the interior of the defensive front in free agency last year, and you drafted Brian Brzee in the first round last year, and his returns were pretty good. Say what you will about Nathan Shepard and Cullen Saunders, but Brzee looked pretty good, and coming into year 2, you can expect more from him. That's a really tough spot to come into in the league and be really productive on the interior of the defensive front. I've said that a few times this year when we were talking about Brzee. You draft a running back, like I would have suggested he should be able to get out there and give it a go week 1 and be a high-level player. Same thing goes a lot of times for receivers. But you start talking about interior defensive line, quarterback, some of those positions, like that's tough on a rookie. And I think Brzee could be really good. I don't know if interior defensive line is where the Saints' biggest need is. I would push back against that a little bit. CBS Sports, Josh Edwards, Rome Odunze, the second one we've seen there. Sports Illustrated's Luke Easterling goes with J.C. Latham. So that's another double up that we've seen there. Pro Football Network, Joe Broback went with Jared Verse. Talked about him yesterday. I love that pick. I think that would be great. If you could potentially pair him as the heir apparent to Cam Jordan and put him on the other side of Carl Granderson with Brian Brzee and what he showed as an interior pass rusher, all of a sudden I think there's reason to believe that over the next 2-3 years, that nucleus could be pretty formidable up front. Maybe Isaiah Foskey chips in and helps with that. That'd be great too. But that to me makes a lot of sense. We've seen Jared Verse here as an LSU fan base the last couple of years. he's a handful, and I think there's real reason to believe he's going to be an excellent pro player. So that position and player makes a lot of sense to me. So, and then as I continue to look through draft wire, Kurt Popejoy, he's got J.C. Latham as the pick as well. Then for the win, Christian DeAndrea had the Saints going with Dallas Turner. Now, I just don't know that Dallas Turner is going to be there when the Saints pick. There's a lot that's going to happen between now and the draft. You've got workouts and pro days and combines and people still analyzing film, and there's a lot that goes into this. It would just surprise me if Dallas Turner slid that far. I would have to think he's one of the top pass rushers in this draft. And while I do think the quarterbacks are going to go early, and there is a belief that there's going to be a run on wide receivers with Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Rome Odunze, all those guys, like I think there's going to be a run on receivers as well that maybe pushes some people back, but I don't know that Dallas Turner is in play there. So there's a few more, like Yard Barker, Seth Trackman's got Jared Verse going to the Saints. There's another one. Dustin Mosher has Leatu Latu going to the Saints, so that's a double up. And so that makes more sense to me. I think that when you start to look at Saints positionally needs and what they need to do in the first round, offensive tackle, whether it's Latham or somebody else, or pass rusher, whether that's Verse, Latu, whoever, that makes a lot of sense. You start talking about drafting interior defensive linemen, you start talking about drafting wide receivers. I don't see that at this point. There was another mock that had the Saints taking Brock Bowers at tight end. And I'm just like, that's a luxury. Like, you've got some tight ends. Juwan Johnson's played very well. You've got Foster Moreau. I think Jimmy Graham, based on his Instagram post, is probably done. But you didn't use him very much the last year anyway. So we'll have a lot of time to dive into this, and we'll see. There's a lot of moving pieces, and you figure the Saints' first-round pick is very important, as is their second-round pick. They don't have picks later on, and if they could maybe move some guys and via trade to accumulate some draft picks, I wouldn't hate that either, because when you've got the oldest roster in the National Football League, you have to find a way to get younger, and this is the best way to do it, and this is not something the Saints have done. They have not prioritized accumulating draft picks. They have prioritized targeting individual players and moving up to get them, and that's fine when you've got a championship-level roster that's a piece or two away. When you're a team that's been 500 the last 2 years and can't win a terrible division, you've obviously got significant problems all over the field, and you can't address them if you keep trading away your back-end draft picks to go get one dude. You want to go trade up to go get Brandon Cooks? Fine. You got Drew Brees, quality defense, have at it. But then you keep doing it to go get Peyton Turner, to go get Davenport. Go get Olave. Like you've just continued to move picks to move up. And eventually it comes back to bite you, because you're not able to build that young nucleus. And you get older and older and older, and you depend more on free agency. And that's a tough way to make a living. The draft is the most important roster building tool that you have. You've got to do well on undrafted free agents. You've got to do well on free agents, period. All that stuff is very important, but the draft is the most important. And the Saints have got to hit here, and it really, in my opinion, does not need to be somebody out there on the perimeter at corner or wide receiver. It needs to be offensive line or pass rusher. And I think a lot of people in the industry kind of feel the same way very, very early on. Again, a long, long way to go before we get to draft time, but I thought that was an interesting exercise just to kind of scrub the internet, look at what everybody's thinking, and you have some consensus with Latham, with Latu, with Verse. There were multiple people that had him as well, so I think that's likely where the Saints should be headed. But we'll see as we move forward into the spring. Friday show is brought to you by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. When we come back, LSU and Texas A&M going to battle in the PMAC hardwood, 3 o'clock tomorrow. I will get you ready for that. Everything you need to know about the Aggies and my thoughts on the Tigers as they sit there at 3-1 in SEC play. Don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
Happy New Year from your friends at Front to Back Boat Service. And what better way to kick off your new year than by taking your boat to the next level? Get the boat of your dreams, and that's where Front to Back comes into play. You want that spot lock trolling motor that's going to keep you right there on the water where you need to be. How about some forward-facing sonar that actually shows you the fish before you even cast? Custom stereo jobs, all of it. Sherman Family.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. The latest on LSU's coaching staff and the Riot Radio Hours return. Ryan's Letter, Kick Rocks, Ask Ryan, all that good stuff. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Shreveport's own Sam Burns is lighting it up out west. The LSU product 9 under on his round today. Puts him 15 under for the tournament, and he leads the American Express right now. midway through Friday. He has made 2 eagles and 5 birdies today. He's got 4 holes to play. If he birdies them all, he'll shoot 59 on a par 72, which would be quite a number. I'm not going to bet on that, but Sam's playing really, really well out there in the West Coast. So good luck to Sam Burns, Shreveport's finest. LSU and Texas A&M do battle tomorrow inside the PMAC, 3 o'clock tip. Second time in 3 weeks these two teams will have seen each other. We talked about A&M at length entering that game, and I had a feeling that A&M would handle LSU in College Station, and that did not happen. LSU played a great basketball game and won that game, and Texas A&M just hasn't found it yet this year. They're 10-7. They are 1-3 in conference play. 10-7 sounds terrible. They have a lot of really good losses, and I use air quotes because losses aren't good, but like they lost to FAU, who was in the Final Four last year and has had a good year this year. They lost to Virginia, who's got a great program. They lost to Memphis, who's got a good team this year under Penny Hardaway. They lost to Houston, one of the top 15 programs running in the country right now under Kelvin Sampson. They lost at Auburn. That's tough for anybody to go there and win. They lost at Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is not great, but it is a tough place to go play. So, I mean, their losses are reasonable. They had a heartbreaker up there in Fayetteville on Tuesday. Wade Taylor hit a 3 with 8 seconds to go to put A&M up 1. It was an off-balance, like forced 3, and he drilled it, and then A&M let Arkansas get right to the rim and put a 4-footer in at the buzzer to beat them. So tough break on Tuesday for them. They lose that game, fall to 1-3. This A&M team very much has an identity that LSU is going to have to try to counteract. It's a bad shooting basketball team. They are 337th in the country in shooting percentage. There are only 362 teams we measure here. So there are not 30 teams in the country worse in terms of a shooting percentage perspective than Texas A&M. They shoot it very poorly. But they get those shots rebounded a lot. They are the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country. They rebound 44% of their misses. Almost half of their misses they rebound. That is a huge piece to what they do. They also get to the free throw line. They are 17th in the country in opposing fouls per game. So they draw a lot of fouls. LSU will have to guard against that. They did not do a good job on Wednesday of keeping Ole Miss off the free throw line. They need to try to do that against Texas A&M. Look, LSU defensively, statistically, looks very good. They are 21 in the country in opposing shooting percentage. They also steal the ball a lot. They're 10th in the country in steals per possession. So LSU is developing a bit of a defensive identity. Jordan Wright is a big piece of that. Jalen Cook has done a pretty good job with that as well. A&M does not really turn the ball over a ton. Wade Taylor's veteran guard. Boots Radford has been in college forever. They don't turn the ball over a lot, but LSU does do that to teams, so we'll see kind of what gives there. In the game that LSU won back in College Station, it was a 68-53 win for LSU, a 15-point win. And A&M, as they're prone to do, had a very, very poor shooting day. 5 of 28 from three-point range. That is 18% shooting the three. Awful. Wade Taylor in that game was 8 of 20 from the floor. He was 3 of 12 from three-point land. That's the kind of effort you need to get from him. He scored 41 on Tuesday. Like, that's what he can do. LSU's got to find a way to guard him. And well, A&M missed a bunch of shots against LSU. That's something they normally do. LSU kept them off the glass. A&M only got 13 offensive rebounds and turned those into 3 second chance points. If LSU holds A&M under 10 second chance points tomorrow, they will win the game. If they hold Wade Taylor under 20 points, they will win the game. A&M really only has a couple of cards to play on offense. It's Wade Taylor, it's offensive rebounds. And they know that. LSU knows that. A&M knows that. That's the game. I don't think Boots Radford or Henry Coleman are going to go for 30 tomorrow. It would be shocking if they did. Those are the other options. Wade Taylor gets his shots up. You're not going to stop him from shooting. You can stop him from making, but you're not going to stop him from shooting. He shot double-digit threes in 3 of their 4 conference games. In the last 2 games, he's 11 out of 27 from the three-point range. 2 games, 27 threes attempted. Like, he's their offense. He's the preseason conference player of the year. He wants to get shots up in a hurry. He's averaging 19.5 points per game. He's excellent player. And he was not good when LSU played him that time. And Henry Coleman was a non-factor. He's their post. He's a double-figure scorer most nights, and against LSU, for whatever reason, in 31 minutes of playing time, not like he sat, he was out there 31 minutes, and he only scored 4 points on 0 of 3 shooting. I can't really explain that, why he did that, but that's the case. Those are their best 2 options, and so that's LSU's goal to slow that down. You've got to send 5 guys to the defensive glass if you're LSU. You're not trying to leak out to run fast breaks. You're trying to rebound the basketball because there are going to be plenty of them to be had. A&M does not shoot it very well, as we've mentioned a bunch of times, and LSU's shooting percentage defense has been good. You have to rebound. If you don't, they will do 2 things. They will put you on the foul line. They will get to the foul line a ton. If they're continually getting offensive rebounds, that's a great time to draw fouls, get folks in foul trouble, get to the free throw line. They shoot a high percentage from there. They don't from the field. They will also score a bunch. And we saw it when LSU held Texas A&M to 3 second chance points. A&M in their home building scored 53 points. Now they got to the glass against Kentucky, and that's their 1 win. LSU's got to stop that. I'm waiting on Jalen Cook to knock down some shots. I know he had 28 points against Vanderbilt, but it took a lot of shots to get there. He needs to make some more shots. Jordan Wright's been very good. I think Tyrell Ward's just fine in his role offensively. Will Baker giving you some here or there. But Cook's going to have to be a little bit more of a high percentage shooter than he's been thus far. I understand shaking the rust off. Didn't play really at all up through late December. But it's time to kick that into gear. We'll see if LSU can turn A&M over. That hasn't been necessarily something that a lot of teams have been able to do to Texas A&M. But it's really about rebounding and toughness. It's hard for me to laud LSU's defense when they gave up 80 points to Ole Miss on Wednesday. But they created those turnovers. Jordan Wright had the 7 steals. They got some fast break points because of it. And the metrics love LSU's defense. It's kind of become their identity, kind of become what they are. They've got to find a way to do it against a very, very veteran backcourt of Texas A&M coming up tomorrow. Hopefully there's a pretty good crowd. We talked about this a little bit today. This town needs you to win consistently to show up for basketball. That's just kind of been what it's been. And if you do win, they'll show up. And I think the fact that LSU's 3-1, the fact that it's a Saturday, mid-afternoon, not interrupting with kids' games in the morning, not interrupting dinner plans at night, 3 o'clock, that's good tip-off time. Saints aren't playing. I would think there'd be a pretty good crowd in there on Saturday, and it would mean a lot to the team, and hopefully they come out and play really inspired. It's odd because I can't force myself to pick them to win. I didn't pick them in College Station. I did pick them to beat Vanderbilt. I did not pick them to beat Ole Miss on Wednesday. And they played really well. And it's not like they just showed up one day and started making a bunch of shots. They've really played well since Jalen Cook came back. In the Texas game, he wasn't really ready to play, and they got beat. But outside of that, your only loss is to Auburn on the road, and you fought and clawed in that one. So I'm still not going to quite pick them, and that's not like last year for football, I was just doing it tongue-in-cheek because I was missing on every pick for the football team, so I decided I was going to pick against them every week, and they started winning a bunch. So we did it for a little bit of a bit. This is not a bit. Like, I honestly am picking A&M to win the game. I haven't seen a line on it yet, and A&M is not very good on offense when they don't get offensive rebounds. So I get why they're not playing as well as people thought they were going to entering the season, but I just don't quite have the trust level in LSU's team right now to go ahead and make that pick. So give me A&M 73-67, and hopefully I'm dead wrong.
Are you just going to keep choosing LSU to win?
No, I'm playing this one straight. Last year on the show, I was not playing it straight with football. I was straight up I'm talking about the 2022 season when they won the West.
Yeah.
I was doing that as a bit. Everyone knew it. It was like when we did the final pick, I was picking LSU to lose every single game on purpose. It was it was a bit, and everybody got it. This is not a bit. Like I don't trust them yet. They're just not, and they've played a lot better than A&M the last 2 weeks, but I just don't. I trust Wade Taylor and Boots Radford and Henry Coleman and Buzz Williams more than I'm trusting this LSU team right now. Hopefully they win me over. They win. Look, if they can win this game and get to 4-1, like that's far better than I could have anticipated. Yesterday I told you I thought when they started conference that they would win 2 or 3 games, and they're already at 3. So if you look at their schedule after Texas A&M, they can win this game to get to 4-1. Then you're at Georgia. You won't be favored in that game. That's one of those 50-50 games that I'm talking about. Then you're at Bama, and you're not going to win that game. Then you've got Arkansas at home. You should beat them at home. They're playing terrible, but who knows? Then you're at Tennessee, and you're not going to win that game. Then Bama comes here, and I don't think you're going to win that game. Then there's 2 more road games. So while we're sunshine and roses right now, like I can paint you a pretty easy picture of LSU losing the next 7.
Do you think Alabama is markedly better than Ole Miss?
Yes.
But you don't. In my opinion, I think if LSU
Ole Miss is a paper tiger.
Okay, but I think if LSU continues to play the way they've been playing, I think they can win one of those Alabama games. Either most likely home, obviously, but
I just don't see it. Alabama's got the number 1 offense in the country. I don't see it. But like, this is not. I don't believe this is some sort of egregious miscalculation on my part. After A&M, could they lose at Georgia? Yeah. Could they lose at Bama? Yeah. Could Arkansas come here and win? Yeah. You go to Tennessee next. Then you have Bama. Then you're at Florida. Then you're at South Carolina. Then Kentucky comes here. That's the next 8.
They also could be 1-3 in the conference right now.
Yeah, no,
easily.
I love where they are. I'm excited about it. I had a blast on Wednesday, and I like talking about this. I would honestly, and people know this is not like breaking news, I would much rather do SEC basketball power rankings and talk about this game tomorrow and go through the SEC schedule than talk about who the Saints might draft in April. Like, that's not top of mind for me, but it is for a lot of people to listen, so that's the job here is to do that.
Yeah.
I want to talk basketball and to be invested in it. I'm still a little bit scarred by some of the stuff we saw in November and December with this team getting dusted in some of those high-profile non-conference games and struggling with the group of 5 schools. Like that, some of that stuff is iffy. It gets really hairy really quick. And so what I know is that this basketball team is going to create different moods in this town over the next 2 months. Like, there's going to be a point where they lose 3 in a row. There just is. They're going to go out there in an SEC game and get their butts kicked by 28 points. Like, that is coming at some point. Like, it happens to just about everybody. Arkansas got destroyed by Auburn a couple weeks ago. Like, that's just part of it. So, A&M lost by 15 at home to LSU. So, like, that's coming. We just haven't seen it just yet. I'm hopeful they can get this win tomorrow because what I'm prepared to do is look at this thing in the middle of March and look back on it and go, okay, now that the dust is settled, we're not being emotional. We didn't just watch a 2-hour game. Like, what was it really? And where is this thing headed? And I'm just trying to prep myself and maybe the listeners to an extent that there are some choppy waters ahead here because
fair enough.
There are some teams that LSU's not quite as good as. And you don't have to go too far back in the rearview mirror to think about the Kansas State game, Texas game, Syracuse game. It can get a little bit hairy. But they've got some good wins. I mean, going to A&M and winning is good. The Wake Forest win looks really nice. So we'll see. I'm excited to watch them tomorrow, but I'm not quite there to pick them to win against Texas A&M. 3 o'clock is tip-off, 2:30 for the pregame on Eagle 98.1. That'll be John Brady and Chris Blair on the call. We'll come back and close out the week with some Take It or Leave It next.
The Hunt Palmer Show. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
was a humid day. Barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
His name was King. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly...
On Mondays, OTB, we recap a rollicking good weekend of NFL football, plus the latest out of the unending college football news cycle. Brand new edition of Weekend Winners, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Shout out to Corks. CorksFishandShrimp.com is where you can find the menu, place those catering orders. Just get on by the location right there on Government Street between Foster and Jefferson. Appreciate them bringing you our Friday shows each and every week. We got one order of business left. It's take it or leave it, Beck.
All right, first one here. The Astros signed closer Josh Hader to a 5-year, $95 million deal, making it the largest ever for a relief pitcher. Lock in the Stros for another ALCS. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. They always take the ALCS, so it's nuts. Hader, in his day in Milwaukee, was not a lot of fun for the Chicago Cubs.
No, it was not.
He had some absurd numbers. Like his strikeout rate was like 47% at one point. Like, he was striking out 1 out of 2 guys he was facing with that ridiculous rising fastball and then the slider that he mixed in every once in a while. Cubs just very rarely had any chance against him. Rizzo got him one time for a home run to take the lead, which was awesome, but it didn't happen very often. Astros paying a lot of money to an aging relief pitcher, but he still got good stuff. I was hoping the Cubs might get in on it, but I don't know about a deal that long.
That's
for
pretty
a
big.
relief pitcher. That's a lot.
Las Vegas Raiders are reportedly set to retain Antonio Pierce, former interim, obviously now going to be a permanent head coach for the 2024 season. Pierce is now the 3rd current head coach in the NFL to be a former Pro Bowl linebacker, the others being D'Amico Ryans and Gerard Mayo, who just got hired by the Patriots. This will be a new trend in head coaching hires, former linebackers. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I mean, wasn't Vrabel a linebacker? And he probably made a pro.
Yeah, I think so.
Or was he like an edge?
He might have been
like
edge,
that.
sure,
But yeah, he's I think a really good coach that will probably find another job as well. So, yeah, I mean, he did a good job. That's kind of a bad situation, and he got into it, and they were really competitive down the stretch. So, probably deserves a shot. That's good. We'll see what Gerard Mayo does. There's no track record on him. The Patriots just kind of dubbed him the guy whenever Bill was going to be out, and it's at that time. So, we'll see. I'm also curious to see if by the time we get to the show on Monday, if the Falcons don't have Bill Belichick as their new head coach. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's a good hire by the Raiders.
Vrabel also was a linebacker as well, so most likely will be getting a job soon here as well. Moving on, getting your house show ready every day. Take it or leave it.
Leave it. Trying to sell the house. That means when you leave, because there's people coming in and out to look at it, every pillow's got to be fluffed. Every countertop's got to be wiped off. No towels hanging on the rack. It's just, you got to make the bed with all the throw pillows, which we hadn't used the throw pillows since she moved in. Like, I didn't even know where they were. I think they were in the top of a closet. Now they have to go on every day. It is a lot. Don't love it, especially with a 2-year-old who comes in and wants to just, like, the first thing he wants to do when he comes in is take the little basket we have and dump every ball out of it. There's 25 balls on the floor immediately. Well, that doesn't fly. I'm not exactly the cleanest human who ever lived either. It's been quite a lifestyle adjustment for me, but somebody buy this house, please.
All right, last one here. The Pelicans are 2.5-point favorites against the Suns in the blender. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. I like the Pels in the blender. Suns are obviously really talented. They haven't really put it together to this point, and they're getting a lot of heat nationally. I didn't mean that. That's a terrible pun on accident. Bad one. Didn't mean to do it, but there it is. You just can't avoid it. The Pels are good. I like the Pels at home against just about anybody. Don't love the uniforms. You were just talking about the court.
The court is just awful.
I'm just not sure how we got to this point where teams very often wear colors that aren't the team colors. Like, that's the point of the team colors, that you can identify the team in the colors. And then the Pels come out in black and neon green. Mm-hmm. I just don't really get it. But
no explanation.
They're not trying to market to me. They're trying to market to the folks that buy a bunch of basketball jerseys. I don't own a basketball jersey, so they don't care what I think. I talk about this all the time, and it's funny. I can walk into Pluckers when there's like 3 NBA games going on and look at a television and have no idea what 2 teams are. Like, no clue what 2 teams are, because they don't have the name of their team or city on the uniform. It says something like The Town or Rip City or something. And then they're a different color, and the court's a different color, and it's like, I have no idea. The days of me being able to identify NBA teams based on their uniforms are long gone. It's
the only one that I think hasn't made a jersey that isn't the regular colors, the Lakers. Like, I think almost all theirs are at least either yellow or purple. But even the Celtics.
No, I think I've seen them in blue.
Oh, well, that makes sense. They used to be blue. They used to have like the throwback blue,
right?
So that kind of makes sense. But still,
it's you got much. Classics like the Celtics coming out.
Yeah.
And who knows what? It's just tough. But that's all right. You do you, NBA. Pels 2.5 point favorites against Phoenix. Get it done tonight inside the blender. Hopefully LSU men get it done tomorrow at 3:00 against Texas A&M. If you missed any of our show today, as always, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your podcast, you can find us. And also on YouTube. Still got content coming out daily. Hunt on LSU with your LSU football, which today was talking about some transfer portal guys that LSU could potentially target. Also, hunt on Saints for all your Saints needs. We talked mock drafts today about the New Orleans Saints. That's a Hunt on Saints and Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Subscribe to those. We certainly appreciate that. Appreciate Preston Guy for coming on, talking some LSU football with us, as well as Travis Brown from the Bryan College Station Eagle talking A&M hoops. Looking forward to a great weekend. Hope you all have a happy and a safe one. We're back same time, same place on Monday. That's about to drive you home on After Further Review. See y'all.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found